Welcome to this primary school demo of SharePoint Teams and Class Notebook. We're going to go through some of the key features and how we set it up so it makes it really easy to use within school and you get all the benefits of moving to a cloud. Now, one thing to point out right at the beginning is it's really important you have a long-term strategy to get this used well within the school. Everything that we show you today is a lot, and we don't want to overwhelm teachers with introducing too much all at once, but it needs to be part of that long-term plan to move to the cloud. And it might be a 3-month, 6-month plan, but the idea is that you give staff confidence over time with the right training to get them using this bit by bit until you've got good usage within the whole school. And we'll talk about that process a bit later on in the demo. So we're going to start off in SharePoint, and this is the school homepage. So this is where schools would go. This is where people go when they first land on the homepage. So it's a great communication portal for the school. Anything you want to publish to staff and students, and if parents logging in with their children as well, it's a great place to put that news and that information about what's happening around school. So we've got a slideshow, we've got our profile web part, events, what's happening, some news, some house points on here, word of the day. And this is a starting point. You can edit this page, you can add your own web parts, you can add your own text on here. It's really just to give you a good starting point. Across the top, we've got the school logo and the school colours and the mega menu. And this menu, when it drops down, it shows you all the sites and all the teams that you have access to. So it's going to be personalised to you depending who you're logged in as. So in this case, I'm logged in as a Year 6 teacher. Just for demo purposes, I've got access to lots of different teams just to show you some of the different types that you might create within the school. So some of the benefits are going to be, getting the best out of the cloud. So using any device, anywhere to access all of your information. And one of the other, benefits from that as well is you're not going to be renewing hardware, every few years and spending tens of thousands of pounds on hardware and licensing. It's all going to be free within the cloud. So I'm going to go through the different types of sites and teams that you might create within the cloud. So the first one is going to be the communication sites. So this is a great way of publishing information to large groups of people within the school, where maybe some people can actually update those pages, but most people just go there to read them and to get information. So a quick example of that might be the general staff site, and on here I might have my lunch rota, I might have a daily or weekly staff briefing. I might even store my staff handbooks and policies on this site. And this is a great place to put that information where only certain members of staff, maybe SLT or the head teacher, can actually update the documents on here, but everybody else can see them and they can access them. So if you've got a daily or weekly staff briefing, instead of pinning it on the notice board or emailing it around, then this is a place where you put that and everyone can come and they can access that document. So I can click open staff briefing and it just goes straight to today's daily briefing. So your communication site's great at publishing information. We've got a few other examples on here, but you can have as many as you like. So we've got catering information, library services, pastoral trips. So any information you want to publish to either your staff or both your staff and your students, then they're great as communication sites. Now the other aspect of this is replacing some of those shared drives that you might have in school at the moment. So any sort of network drives that you currently have, shared folders, and that's where Teams comes in. And you can see that we've created a number of collaboration teams here, and these are for small groups of people working together on secure documents. So we've got a data team, only the data team will see that link and only they can access it. You might have things for finance, governors, leaders of different key stages, safeguarding teams. So whatever groups of people work together in school, you can create a team for them. They've got their own secure area to store those resources. So if I go into data team as a quick example, just open that in a new tab so you can see it. So this is an area where I can see all the different channels that exist within this team. I can go into the exam analysis channel. I can work on these documents from within here, and I can work on them inside SharePoint. Now you can access the same documents within Teams as well. but you might find that some staff aren't quite ready for Teams yet. And for those staff, while they gain confidence over time with Teams, they can still go in through a SharePoint, so they get a traditional, website navigation view, well-governed structure of all those different sites that they can easily see. And they can just drill down into those documents and work on them from within SharePoint. Now, for other members of staff, they might be confident using Teams. Maybe they've used it, during lockdown. And for those members of staff, they might be quite happy just going into Teams and collaborating on those documents straight from within the Teams interface. That's absolutely fine. You can do it either way. So you've also got an area for your long-term resources. So as a school, you'll have resources that you're going to use year on year on year, and you're going to want a place to store those resources so you can reuse them every academic year. You might be a smaller primary school with only one year intake, or you might have more than a single year intake per year. So in the bigger schools, it becomes an important place to collaborate with other teachers. If you do decide to move teachers around and they start teaching different year groups, then at least they'll have access to all those resources that that year group used previously. So it's still a great place to store those resources. Now, I'm a teacher of year 6, but if I wanted to, I can always click on all resources and see all the other year groups as well. And if I go into year 6, this is a place where you've got those long-term resources for staff and student-facing resources that everybody can access over the long term. Now, these are going to be here forever, whereas your class teams, they just exist for that one academic year. So this is a place to store those long-term resources that you might have stored inside file shares previously. So you've got your staff-only resources and only staff can access, and then you've got your student-facing resource libraries. So you can have as many of these libraries as you want per site. So in this example, we've got student resources, we've got revision resources as well. And if I go into one of those libraries, you can see I've got lots of documents in here. And if I drill down into those folders, I've got resources that I've uploaded that are going to be student-facing. Now I can upload and create resources in here really easily. I can just go to New, create a brand new Word document, create a resource from within this area, and it will open up in Office Online. I don't need Office on my computer to use that. And I can also upload resources that I've already created on my computer as well. We do add in some additional tagging options for education, so it just makes it easier to find those resources if you tag it with things like key stage and topic, but that's completely optional. And every single document that gets created in here has a version history. So if anybody makes a mistake to a document, you can easily and quickly go back to an earlier version of it just by looking at the version history of that document and seeing who's edited it and when. There's also a recycle bin, so if you or a colleague accidentally deletes the document, that will go into the site recycle bin, and you can easily get that back without having to call IT support. I can just go to recycle bin, find all the recently deleted documents, select it and restore it back to its original location. And all of this you can access from any device, anywhere. You don't need to be in school, and you don't need to be using a desktop computer. You could be using an iPad or an Android phone. You can even search these sites for a specific resource. So if it was a particular exam paper, I could search for it in here. If it was that Frozen Kingdom document, again, I can search for it and it will bring back those results in the search results. So those are your long-term resources that are going to be there forever, powering those resources and keep them long-term. And then you've also got your class teams where you're going to be teaching individual classes each academic year. And these are created inside class teams. So to make it really easy to jump into class teams, we've got a class dashboard. This will show you a list of all the classes that you teach if you're a teacher, a list of all the classes that you're enrolled on if you're a pupil. And I can click on that class and I can see all the students within that class. So I can actually jump straight into the relevant resource areas for this particular class. So I can jump straight into that class team. That will open up Microsoft Teams and it will go straight into the Year 6 team. So inside Teams, this is a great place to collaborate with your class and work on either extending the classroom so people can work from outside of the class, or even remote learning during these difficult times. So I can create a conversation in here to discuss a topic with my class. What did you think of the book we read today? And everyone can see that message and they can reply back to it. The students can reply back to it. You can also mute students if you don't want them replying back, but it'll say their name next to each message so you can clearly see who is taking part in that conversation. So if you wanted to, you can even mention people in the class. So I could mention an individual, or I could actually mention the entire class. And if I mention somebody using the @ symbol, that's going to give them an instant notification if they've got the app installed on their phone or tablet, or they'll get an email in a couple of hours if they haven't seen that notification. There's some nice tools in here as well where you can praise people. So I can praise people, I can send out quizzes and surveys. And there's also the option to meet as well. So I can schedule a interactive online lesson with my students using the meet button at the top. I can meet them now, or I can schedule that to go into their calendar. So great if you need to do the remote lessons, and you can record those as well. You can share your screen, you can share your webcam, and again, you can decide if students can do that as well. That might be part of your safeguarding policies that we go through during the setup. So if we go to the Files tab, you'll find that what we do is we create a student work folder for every student in that class. The student can only see their own folder, but the teacher can see everybody's. So as a teacher, I can see everybody's folder within that class. And actually from our class dashboard, if I was to click on a student's face, I can go straight into their student work folder with inside Teams. And again, it's just about making it as easy as possible to jump straight into those locations. So if that student's got some work that they're working on throughout the academic year, maybe some classwork that they're working on, some project work, then they can store that in here, and both the student and the teacher can see those documents as they're working on them. So they can create them brand new in here, or they can drag and drop them in, and only them and the teacher can see that piece of work. You've then got your class notebook. So the best way to describe class notebook is it's 90% student exercise book, but you might put some rich resources in there. And at a primary school level, it's quite useful for putting in some of those topic, maybe some exercise book examples that you want to make available to the students. So just to show you this a bit easier, if we go back to class dashboard, we can open up the class notebook full screen without even having to go to Teams. So as a teacher, I've got a content library and I can create some rich content in here. It's just like using a book, so I can create pages within sections. So I can just add a new page here. And I can type some rich text onto those pages and insert some pictures, videos, audio symbols. A bit like this one I've just quickly made. So I've got a video, YouTube video that can play in there. I've got some pictures, some text, and there's some really nice tools in here that will help with reading comprehension for the students. So on every single page, there's a immersive reader option, and I can turn that on. That will strip out all the distractions from the page. It'll just show the plain text on the page. It will play it through my speakers if I press the play button. I can turn on different backgrounds and fonts. So if I've got dyslexia, I can turn on a high visibility background and Comic Sans so I can see that text easier. I can even emphasize nouns, verbs and adjectives on here, or even the syllables of those words. There's even a picture dictionary, so if I click on a word, it'll give me a picture of what that word is. And if I'm from a different background, or if I've got parents from maybe a different background, then I can also turn on the translate option, either per word, so it'll tell me the Arabic and play it through my speakers for that particular word. I can translate the entire document as well. And that's just for the end user, so it doesn't affect anybody else using it, just personalizing the learning for them. So there's some really nice tools in here, and your content library is going to be the sort of topic book, that you're putting some content on there for them. But then you've also got some student sections. The student can only see their own section, but the teacher can see everybody's. So within here, you can create some pages. So if I go into Imogen's area here, So she might have created a page in here, and she can just type in here. She can create her own pages. She can only see her own section, and she can only edit her own section. So again, it's a bit like her having her own online exercise book. And as a teacher, you can stick your head over everybody's shoulder and see what they've been writing. Even if they're not in class, even if you're not with them, you can still see what they're working on inside Class Notebook. So it's a really nice tool to have there inside Microsoft Teams. You've then got the assignment tab. And this is great if you want to set some formally assessed work for these students. So it could be a piece of homework, so it could be an assignment, it could be a self-marking quiz using Microsoft Forms. So it could just be like multi-choice quizzes you want to set for them. And when you create a new assignment, you give it a title. Give it some instructions, give them a number of points. You can add in things like grading criteria. So if you wanted them to transparently see how you were going to grade it, then you can do that. You can add in things like rubrics, so they can see exactly what they need to achieve to get a good grade. And it makes it easier for you marking it as well, if that's applicable to that piece of work. I can assign it to all groups of students in that class, or just to a section of them. So if you've got a higher level and intermediate level homework, you can set 2 different levels. I can set due date and time. There's lots of other options in terms of late hand-ins and scheduling them as well. And then when you assign that piece of work, you click assign, and they'll get an instant notification on their phone and tablet if they've got the app installed. I can also add some resources into this. So if you've got things like worksheets you want to attach, you can do that from your OneDrive. You can do that from any of those central team areas that we've got. So I can grab something from the Year 6 long-term resource library, grab a resource from here, Frozen Kingdoms, attach that to that piece of work. And then every student will see that resource in that assignment. And if it was a Word document, I could also make it editable for the students, so they can actually reply back and fill it in. And I'm just going to assign that to those students. And when it comes to collecting the work back in again, I can just click on this assignment, and I can see a mark sheet view where I can see all the students. I can give them the grade, the feedback. I can see who's handed it in and who hasn't. And if I want to, I can just see where they are with it currently. Obviously, this person's not attached any work yet. If they had, then I could annotate it. I could give them some feedback. Give them some points and return it back to them. And as soon as you've returned that work back to the student, they'll get instant notification on their phone and tablet of what grade you gave them and what comments and feedback you gave them. And as a teacher, you can go to your grade book and you can see a column for every piece of work you've set that group throughout that academic year. You can even drill down into one of those students and see a list of all the work you've assigned that student throughout that academic year. So if you've got a parents' evening coming up, then you could bring up this and you can go through exactly what they were set and what grades they got throughout that academic year. Now you'll also find that you can optionally add in the Insights tab, which is really useful. I definitely recommend it. And this will give you the option to see how well it's being used for the students, how much they've engaged with it. You can see which students are active and which ones aren't. If they've missed targets in terms of handing in work, I can drill down and see what they've been working on throughout that day. I can filter it by activity. I can see the average grade and how it's distributed over time. So lots of really nice tools in there to help you use it well over the long term. In terms of getting some good user adoption over time, one thing that we do is we add in our admin center, where you can have a look at the analytics to see how well it's being used throughout your school. So this will give you a good view of how well it's being used throughout the entire school by teachers, usage over time, so you can see trends in that over time. You even be able to sort it by subject or year group. So primary schools, it's mainly going to be year groups if you don't have timetable subjects. And you can even drill down into that subject or year group, see how many assignments have been set and percentage of classes with assignments, see the usage over time, and even drill down into an individual class and see what work they were set over time. So it just gives you, as as SLT or senior management in the school, a good overview of how well it's being used, and also will help you target the training at the people who need it most. So any CPD time might be highlighted by those analytic reports. So in terms of the solutions that we provide, everything that I've showed you today is in all of the packages in terms of the technical solution. The only difference really between Gold and Platinum is the user adoption aspects. So with the Gold package, we create a long-term rollout plan with you. We've got some documentation to guide you on that. And then we also do a training needs analysis. So we'll send you some documents so you can put people into the right ability groups and focus on what courses you want to put those people on. So they're CPD certified courses that they'll get certificates for afterwards as well. And the idea of the online training workshops is there for small groups of people, so they get some one-on-one time with the trainer, they watch a quick demo, do a quick task, quick demo, quick task, and it's just to build up their confidence over time. So you might do some of these right at the beginning of the project, and then maybe a few weeks or months in, you might then have a refresher or look at a different topic to train staff on, just so you've got that constant feedback loop. So we give you some user adoption reports afterwards. This will then give you information on any barriers to using it in the classroom. It might be the fact you're moving too quick or too slow for them. That can then feed back into your long-term digital strategy. It might be the speed that you're going. It could be some people need more CPD time. And it's about having that constant feedback loop. So over time, you can get that good user adoption within the school and get it embedded well across all staff. And that you bring everybody on that journey with you and that nobody's left behind. In the Platinum solution, we also do some additional online training workshop days, and we also do a personalised video training resource recorded on your live site. So we also do some free training resources on here as well. If you go to our website, we've got some free training videos on here. These are just based on our demo site, and obviously with Platinum, you get that recorded on your live site. If you are a trust, then we also do trust level sites, so you can have more than one school within a trust in the same tenancy. So just speak to us about that if you want more information on that. And we also have a number of lighter solutions as well for the smaller primary schools who don't want that MIS integration. So we can do a lighter version where you're just getting the benefits for the staff who are sharing resources, maybe getting rid of some of those file servers that you have in school at the moment.